Hello, 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 hello? Hello. Hello, everyone. Now, before you say it is kind of pointless that I'm doing a live stream because there's not really much going on, I'll make my argument. I scheduled this like 2 hours ago because I thought there was going to be more tornado potential in the Northeast. It didn't really materialize, and I mean, there is still some potential, but I don't think that it's going to be anything crazy anymore. However, the reason why I'm live is mostly to talk about that wind threat in the Great Plains, because that could be a significant wind threat. And I do feel like that is important to talk about, even if it's not a tornadic threat, as some people might think I only go live for tornado events. I do think this is important, so we will be talking about our tornado threat a little bit, but also our wind threat in the Great Plains, but specifically the High Plains. So that's generally what we're looking at today, but we still do have severe weather in 2% tornado risks, which are in Wisconsin and New York, Vermont, New Hampshire, and Maine. And a little bit of Pennsylvania, too. So there is some risk for tornadoes, but that's not the main concern today. I'm mainly live for the enhanced risk that is ongoing in the High Plains region. So anyways, let's switch our scene. Let's look at some of the radars in our High Plains area. There's already storms forming. One in far northwestern Oklahoma near Boise City. You can see one that is moving up towards the northeast, it seems like. Let me just make sure of that. Yeah, it's moving towards the northeast. So, you can see it there. There's no tornado potential with these storms at all, especially since they're mostly a damaging wind threat and won't really have the capability. There'll mostly be some, not really downburst winds. They'll actually be a damaging wind threat, but definitely smaller tornado threat with those. We do also have a bunch of storms up here. This is what it was going to go live for, because it looked like we had more tornado potential up here in New York. But it does seem like that has been weakening that potential over time. We still do have 90-mile-per-hour tornadoes possible, as of the latest mesoscale discussion. However, I don't think that risk is especially high. I do see maybe some rotation on this storm near Morris, but it doesn't look like real rotation. It looks like inflow to me. So we'll check the environment in a bit. I just want to make sure we have a reading of all of these storms. Just looking at all of them just to make sure they're not doing anything insane. It doesn't look like it. Let me look over here in our northern risk in Wisconsin. There is some hailstorms, but they're not really producing any tornadoes or anything like that. Of course, our main risk today is wind, and we do have a 70-mile-per-hour wind warning over here northwest of Boise City. So that's our main concern with today. I do think that what I'll do for the future is, like, go live for Enhanced Risk Plus. It depends, of course. If it's, like, a hail-driven Enhanced Risk, I don't think that that is worthy of a... Not because hail isn't important, but because it's so localized, the hail, sometimes, with supercells and stuff like that, and it's not, like, widespread or anything like that. Even if it is, it usually doesn't hurt you. But, I don't know. It can hurt you a little bit. Just, I personally don't think it's as big of a deal to go live for hail. But we will try to go live for every Enhanced Risk Plus. Because I know most YouTubers just focus on the tornado threat, so. Anyway, still a supercellular type thing near Morris, New York. Not really producing much, but you can see a little bit of a hook on it. It's not anything crazy. I don't think it's a tornadic hook. I think it's just a regular hook that's with the supercellular type storm. But this is more of a hybrid storm because there's kind of a line here. It's probably the cold front. We also do have one approaching Ithaca near Genoa right now. Once again, guys, this will probably be a shorter live stream. It won't be as long, simply because there's not as much happening, but there could still be some wind threat later on, so definitely make sure to stick around for that, if you can. Yes, we have a few mesoscale discussions in effect 3, in fact, in this little crescent-type shape. And those are all pointing towards some sort of wind threat, a little bit of a hail threat, and for 2 of them, a tornado threat, but a small one at that. I didn't notice this from yesterday. We had 4-inch hail near Fargo. I didn't even notice that, but... Of course, yesterday didn't really pan out as much as we expected. That's kind of why I stopped going live. Because, first of all, I didn't think it was worth it being live. And second of all, I could tell that the potential was waning. So, this definitely didn't seem like... That definitely didn't seem like a big event. Even though it was the 10 sig one. It seemed like it was going to ruin itself. We still have these storms in Massachusetts. One of them was severe warned earlier, but they're not really severe warned anymore. They're just a couple of pieces of convection right now in eastern Massachusetts. I'm not really expecting much from them. But there's a severe thunderstorm watch for 85-mile-per-hour winds. 85-mile-per-hour winds. So there is a very high winds potential with these storms in eastern Kansas into western Kansas, into eastern Colorado, western panhandle of Oklahoma, into the northern panhandle of Texas. So there is a high wind potential. 85-mile-per-hour winds are possible with these storms. You can see they're already getting their act together. Over here near Memphis, you can see a couple of storms trying to fire. But our main storm with the highest wind risk right now is over here in northwestern Oklahoma. So this is the main reason why we're live, folks. This severe watch. 85-mile-per-hour winds are possible. We also do have 70-mile-per-hour winds now on the storm near Ithaca. So that's interesting to note. We also do have like a very low precipitation thing happening here. It doesn't look like rotation. I just think this could be some like inflow trying to get into the storm. So some low precipitation inflow into the storm. It looks like that could be some rotation, but I'm unsure if that's inflow. It's very low precip right now if it is rotation, so it's hard to tell. It's hard to tell. But anyways, going back to our main risk, you can see our 70-mile-per-hour wind warning as of right now near Boise City. And we do also have our hailstorm over here in Wasau. So let me just make sure there's no cameras in Oklahoma, because I do want to check that. None of these are Oklahoma cameras. Just give me a second, folks. Okay, there's a few cameras in Boise City, actually. No, that's just billboard. Never mind. Okay. So let's look in Texas. Where this be? Amarillo. There was another place. Dumas? No, it's not. That's Abilene, Amarillo. Alright, so we do have one camera near Dumas. Of course, none of these are picture cameras. I mean, none of these are None of these are video cameras, but... Oh, I think whatever. None of these are video cameras, but you can still see what's going on in these. This storm is probably really far away from this, though, so I'm not really too confident. Let's look in New York. So where are storms right now? The 70-mile-per-hour storm is near Ithaca, so let's look there. are we seeing any sky? Not really. Let me just see. Is any sky on any of these? Maybe this camera? Okay. How's this looking? I'm not seeing much in this area for cameras, so we're just gonna wait with the storm. We do have 70-mile-per-hour winds on the storm near Oneonta now, though, so let me check that. Oneonta is somewhere in here. There. So there's a camera here, which is not working. I don't know why. Is there any other cameras in this area? Weird, there's like no cameras along this highway. Weird. Maybe let's try this one. What? I don't think. Okay. Okay. I think I know how to load the other one. Oh. Okay. Well, never mind. Let's try this. It might be too far away, but there is a storm there. You can see there is some sort of storm near Cobleskill. This is this storm that is approaching towards the Albany area. So we could look at this storm, but our main concern right now is those 70-mile-per-hour wind warnings, so that's the highest wind warning we have right now. That is our main concern at the moment. They also have golf ball size hail, so that's another thing. It's another thing. They do have golf ball size hail, so that could cause some impacts. Definitely in New York, because they don't usually get as much hail. Or as large a hail. But we still have this little cluster of storms in Albany and Troy. Still waiting for that to pummel Massachusetts. Not pummel, but like enter into Massachusetts. I don't know where I got the word pummel from there. Okay. We are watching this main risk. Now, we already have a mesoskill discussion in effect for 65 to 80-mile-per-hour winds. And a little bit of hail, but it's not severe enough. So that's why they haven't added it in the mesoskill discussion. Still have the storm near Knowlton and Cronwetter. It does have some rotation, but I think that's just due to it being a supercell, and there's some wind shear in the area, so it's a little hard to tell if this is going to produce a tornado, but it's not looking likely at the moment. It's pretty broad. You can see it here. There's a little bit of grays in between, so that won't do for a storm. We also do have a severe thunderstorm warning all the way here in Newfoundland. I don't know what that's for. I mean, I guess there is a few severe storms there. Not anything crazy, but I didn't expect that. Okay, this is tightening up a little bit, whatever this is, but it might be inflow on the latest scan. This definitely could be inflow, especially since you can see lower reflectivity values right under it. However, the one thing I'm a little confused on is that this is 1 minute behind this. So this actually could be rotation then. This might be rotation, but it's not too concerning yet. I wouldn't get worked up all over it. It's just looking like an interesting storm, not a concerning storm right now. My main concern is still down here. It does look like the one near Boise City is now extended as a 60-mile-per-hour wind warning for severe thunderstorm warning. So it's not as strong as it was before in terms of winds, but I bet that's not going to continue. As it heads into Kansas, there is more of a threat there. And you can see already some storms developing in Kansas. Not too much, but it does seem like there's going to be some sort of wind risk up there. We already have... Is this from yesterday? Yeah. Okay. That's from yesterday. Huh. Let me look at this. interesting. There's like a little hook here near Westerlo, New York, but it's not that concerning. I wouldn't put all into it, because that is very weak. Though also is trying to develop a hook here near South Lansing, but it's failing, and that's in a weird spot. That's probably in the inflows, if anything. So nothing to get worried about right now. Still waiting on the next scan on this Cronwetter storm. You can see the latest scan here. Still a bit of a supercellular shape to it. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some rotation on this, but it's a little hard to tell. And let me see in the upper levels, actually, because the upper levels might not be showing it. I mean, it shows it a little, but it's not anything insane. Let me see this. Okay, well, you can't see it from there. What other radar would be in range? This. Yeah, I mean, there's definitely some upper level rotation, too. So it's not like there's nothing in this storm. It's just, it seems kind of shallow at the moment. I wouldn't be surprised if this gets a tornado warning in the future, but not now. Not now. Definitely not now. So, we still have our 3 severe thunderstorm watches in effect, and I think there's like 4 in Canada, all across here. We still have our 3 severe thunderstorm watches in effect. Still watching these storms as they continue. Of course, these storms in New York are fairly weak right now. They do have 70-mile-per-hour winds, though, so I would still be aware of that. If you live in these regions, maybe be close to your safe spot just in case. There is a risk up there.